Right, well, after that wonderful build-up, making you all wait at least 5 minutes, I feel we should have a drum roll, but maybe not. Welcome to this special event at English Pen Cafe. It's about European literature, and it's specifically about a very special prize called the European Union Prize for Literature. And we have 3 of the winners here this afternoon, and I'm going to introduce you in a moment. But first of all, very quickly, myself. My name is Rosie Goldsmith. I'm a journalist, and I work a lot with many of you who are here today, but also I try very hard to promote and publicize international literature in the UK. And as always, I would never say anything unless I really believed it. And these writers today are truly spectacular writers. And there are a couple of translation rights that we've got already, but the more they get translated, the better. We're going to talk about the prize. We're going to talk about the writing, the books. We've only got half an hour to do it in. We're going to do our absolute best by speaking as fast as possible. But first of all, I just want to say thank you to Literature Across Frontiers, to the Goethe Institute, to the Finnish Literature Exchange, to the Romanian Cultural Institute, English Pen, of course, Europe House and the European Commission. Everybody has helped, has participated, brought these authors over. And I'd like to introduce you to the 3 women. Isn't it great? 3 women. 3. Yes, it is wonderful. We have Katri Lipson here from Finland, and we have Iona Parvulescu from Romania, and Marcia Bodrozic from Croatia and Germany. So warm welcome to all of them. Now, this prize, I'm sure you know the European Union, the EUPL, let's keep it short. It is awarded every year. There are about 36, 37 countries participating from across Europe. And it's a big, big push by the European Commission, by everybody who belongs to anybody who's interested in European literature to get more translated, to get more writers known from Europe, from across Europe. This year, there are 12 winners, and we have 3 winners here. So 12 winners, so it is a very unusual prize. Marcia, tell us about the prize itself. I mean, how does this prize work for you as a writer?
For me as a writer, I didn't know the prize before. It was a very big surprise to know about it and to get the prize. And it changed a little bit in my life because everybody realized that this prize exists and there are some rights already sold. And it's not my job to sell them. It's my publisher who is doing that. But it's interesting how it moves things.
And the book that won the prize is called, your book that won the prize is called?
Cherrywood and the Old Table.
And it doesn't exist in English yet, so it's Kirschholz und alte Gefühle. And Iona, what is the book you won for? Tell us about your book.
It's Life Begins on Friday, it's the title. For everyone, life begins on Friday. But it's in a specific way in my book. And I must say, I'm very glad. I was also very surprised to win this prize. I was in Greece when the news occurred to me. And I must say it's very important because it makes you visible in your own country. And that's very important for us. And also I want to say that in the 19th century, the Romanian had 2 countries, Romania and France. Now I believe we have 2 countries, Romania and Europe, and it's very important that we have this possibility.
So, Katri, the whole idea is that a national jury chooses these books. So, in fact, in your case, it's in Finnish, your book's in Finnish.
Sure.
So, had you heard about the prize before?
Well, I must confess I
honest.
hadn't. Yeah, I must confess I hadn't heard about the prize, but of course afterwards I have really realized what kind of very important, very a great prize it is.
It's only been running since 2008. Yeah. So I mean, it's on a cycle every 3 years. This prize is awarded, but and to a large number of writers. But I think it is an unusual prize. It's a very special one. There are lots and lots of prizes. What do you think this prize specifically does, though? Because you wrote in German, you wrote in Romanian, you wrote in Finnish. It's about translation, really.
Translation.
For me, it means also that Europe has really opened. I'm born in Croatia, in former Yugoslavia. I write in German, and I got this prize. It shows a bit how the society has changed and the consciousness of the people who belong somehow together, if they want or not. And literature is that kind of bridge that shows that in a very vivid way. So that is very, very wonderful to know.
And the fact that you come from a country which, formerly Yugoslavia, which was very multicultural, had so many different religions and languages and so on too. I mean, to be called a European writer for you is a positive thing.
Absolutely. I grew up as a person who never had a quite identity in the way that I thought I belonged to this nation or to that nation. I learned as a very young pioneer to belong to many cultural dimensions and nationalities, and that was fine, and I love it, and I'm not able to be one. So it shows a bit how Europe has developed culturally and how it will change, I think, our lives in the future.
And Iona, how do you feel about being called, being put into a European pot, if you like?
I'm very glad. I'm very glad to be in this pot. Because I was born in a multicultural town. And Brașov, it's a beautiful town. Please come, do come in Romania.
She obviously has a big house.
Yes, I manage. And it's very important, really, because it's focused on the translations. I believe our characters want to speak other languages. Our characters in the novels.
Nice.
So it's important that we can assure by this support from the European Union, we can support the translators and our books.
And the interesting thing is, that we actually share many languages together. I mean, we all speak German. I think we all understand, obviously English, and we've got Finnish. Do you speak some Russian as well?
No, Swedish. And French and
yes.
Spanish and
a little bit Russian.
A little bit of Russian. Yeah. I mean, and so you know that you are in one of the most Eurosceptical countries in the world, don't you? So, and we're so you convince them. It works. It works. It's good. Now let's talk a little bit about each of your books as well too, because the prize is awarded for specific books, and these are. I mean, I've only been able to read samples. I do read German, so I've been able to read more of the German book. But the fact that these books, they're all very, very different, but they're chosen by the national juries, and then they are presented for translation and for rights and so on too. But this book in German, your book Kirschholz, tell us a little bit about that, because it's actually it's not just set in Germany, is it?
No, not at all. None of my books are set in Germany or in Yugoslavia or Croatia. They are always set in an interior place where the sentences and even my Arietta, who tells the story, tries to find an inner landscape and to combine everything from the outer place, all the countries and languages she speaks, and somehow to archivize her life and to look at it from an inner point of view.
You want to tell us about your book, because this is yours is also a time-traveling book, if you like, or travels at least.
Exactly. My deepest desire was to travel in time. And I could realize that through my novel. It's about a journalist who is found near Bucharest in the year 1897. So the people suppose that he comes from the future. We don't know that. I will say nothing more.
You keep saying this. It's good. You're building up the suspense.
And there are two voices, two main voices. The diary from a girl, a 21-old girl. She writes in her diary, and a male voice, that is the voice from this journalist. So they are both.
Now, Katri, your book, which is called The Ice Cream Man in English, which has probably the most beautiful Finnish title ever. You know I can't pronounce Finnish names, so please.
Oh, it's jäätelökauppias.
It's just say it again. Say it again.
Jäätelökauppias.
Fantastic. Now tell us about The Ice Cream Man.
Well, Ice Cream Man is the title of a film that's presented in this novel. It's a story about a young couple who is totally strangers to each other, but they're supposed to be married. They have false identification papers, and they are escaping the Nazis during the Second World War in Czechoslovakia. And this is the film the reader can see, actually, is following in this novel. But what really interested me as a writer, that this woman in the film, I have cut her in that she became like 4 different women who somehow resemble each other, who have similar past. And so it was some kind of, the fuzzy lines of identity and characters and the interaction between fact and fiction, the film and the real life. Something like that I wanted to do in this.
I mean, it's interesting because it's very, very difficult, as you all know, to describe a book in a few words. I mean, I think we all know how difficult it is. But, and in many ways, you've made your book sound very worthy. But they are actually, one is very funny, and yours has got this, it's an amazing love story as well. I mean, yours is a love story too, and there's so many levels and layers and so much history in each of them too. I mean, every book's got history, but this is serious history. I mean, in your case, it's the Second World War leading up to the Czech Revolution, the Velvet Revolution.
Yeah, and also the late 60s.
And the late 60s.
Prague War and so
you pack a lot in to the book.
Yeah, right.
But and Ioana, you've taken a huge. You've taken the Belle Epoque in Romania, which I should imagine most of us don't know an awful lot about. It was a good time in Romanian history.
A very good time in Romania.
What was so good about it then? Remind us of the good times in Romanian history.
It was good for everyone, not just in Romania, because. From the point of view of the soul, it was better. They have trust in the future, and look what we done from their future. They had trust in us. They believe that in 100 years, man will be in a pink world, and it will be everything good. And that's why the sacrifices were for them very easy to do. Because they had this trust in the future. So the soul was in his best period. But in Romania, it was a lot of progress in this time. It was a king, it was a monarchy, and people tried to do their best. Now, after 50 years from communism, it's not so easy for us to regain the
good feelings about
yes,
history.
Exactly.
Do you feel that you can look back on your history now in Romania and feel good about it? I mean,
about some periods, yes, but not about every period from the history, and surely not about the communism. I told you once in Brussels when we met that I actually began to live in 1990 after the fall of the communism. Actually, I was then 29 years old, so I had to regain sometimes lost time.
Do you know what? It's so extraordinary about these kinds of meetings too. We all happened to meet in November, but there was a ceremony for this prize. But Ioana and I discovered something really quite extraordinary. That I was actually reporting on the end of communism in Romania, in Bucharest, in December 1989. I went over the first time, and she was in the revolution.
Yes.
I mean, those kind of things just send
Yes,
chills down my spine, really. And the same with Yugoslavia. I was in Yugoslavia as it was too. In that time, so I always feel it's a tiny bit of that history, which I was able to experience as well. Now, for you, you're writing about history too, always in some way. The past, memory, in your writing. Tell me how you approach your particular history.
It plays a certain kind of role, but in the background, it is somehow a wall behind the whole story, but it is not the point where I begin to write. It is more the personal history, which gets in touch with the political moments. And in the new book I won the prize for, it's this young lady who has to leave. She wants to study philosophy in Paris. Everybody wants to go to Berlin. The wall has been fallen, but she wants to go to Paris. And then suddenly the war breaks out and she has to go. This changes everything. So if you want to go and you are free to go and then you have to go, this makes a complete new perspective, a complete new way to be in the world. And this is the way how history is interesting for me, because there are these moments that change everything for everybody, but for everybody in a different way in the personal life. So from former Yugoslavia, people went to Australia, to the United States, and somehow they left Sarajevo, and they met in Chicago on the airport, and then looked how to manage their life. And what I'm interested in to see how they do that, with what kind of conditions can they deal, and how are they able to love and get friendships, and how do they live in their daily life with all this they have in the background. And when you are a stranger and you can't prove anything, you can't say, I've done this or I've done that, I've studied that, I have these friendships. No, you are just who you are, and how you deal with life if you don't have anything else, no passports, no money, no identity, just you, how we are, naked being. And that's what I'm interested in.
And either that is enriching or it's unsettling, or both. And it's how you deal with it. And what it does to your language as well, too.
Yeah, it makes the language be a stranger, too. And that's nice.
Now, Katri, you've travelled a lot as well. I know that Marcia has too, but you've lived in Sweden, and your book is set in Czechoslovakia too. So you've got sort of all this time travelling in your mind too. Why did you set it in Czechoslovakia?
Well, Czechoslovakia is a country that has been in the turning points of my own personal life. When I was a little girl, with my family, we took some car tours in Europe, and these trips in Europe, in Western Europe, and also behind the Iron Curtain in the 70s and 80s were a very important experience to me. I think I would not have written these two books without those trips. And Czechoslovakia, I spent there as a medical student 1 month in 1990 in a town called Olomouc. And that was a very, very intensive, very interesting month for me in my life. And I actually started to write my first novel, my first published novel there. So after a period of 10 years, when I had been desperately looking for a story and characters, and then something happened there.
Now, if we look at, we spoke briefly about language, and we haven't got time, unfortunately, for readings today, but it is so beautiful to hear the original language, and in what you've done with German, I think, is beautiful. And I think what's happened in the last few years is how the language of Europe has changed too. Juana, you speak several languages. You write in this beautiful. It's almost a satire. This book. It's very funny. It's very witty. But you're drawing in. It's not just about Romania, is it? It's about many people's lives. It's not. You don't have to be Romanian to appreciate it.
You mean in my book?
In your book.
Yes, it's about human beings. We are all the same, actually. we are different, but we are all the same. And I believe there are similarities between their world in 1897 and our world. And the critics who wrote about my book said that, emphasized that there are many similarities.
And many references to English literature in your book too.
Yes, of course. The girl, Julia, she reads Vanity Fair from Thackeray, but she cannot read it until the end. And she compares herself with Amelia and not with Becky, with the silly Amelia, like she said.
Now, we've got, I mean, interesting that both of you are teachers of literature as well, and Katri is a doctor, so they have other lives too. But how did your books go down in your own country? How were they received? Katri, how was your book received? Was it an instant success? I mean, you've published 2 novels, you've written all your life, you're publishing now quite a lot because, you know, you've made it in Finland. Was this a success, this book? A big success?
Well, my first book, I could say it was a success.
That was Cosmonaut.
Yeah,
yes.
That was Cosmonaut. And my second book...
You've got the Finnish publishers and nodding at the front.
And
of course it was.
With my second book, that was... I knew that I made no compromises when I was writing it, and I was really searching for new ways of, narration and storytelling and character description. So I knew that it probably is a little bit more difficult book, but I mean there were very nice reviews, and well, I don't know if all the readers have understood my book or what they have really thought about that, but I myself, I feel that I did my best. I didn't really have any other choice. I mean, I was writing this book the way it should.
Because in the end, you write it for your own. I mean, who do you write it for? I mean, you write it for yourself. You write it for your country.
You know, when you are in the middle of the process of writing, you feel like you are in a dark room, and you don't. I mean, you are so alone and it's dark, and you don't know if it's dark because you're blind or if the lights are shut off. So I mean, it's that's kind of condition circumstances you're working with, and the only thing you have is yourself. So you really have to believe in the story and yourself.
And it's hard to think, oh, maybe it'll win a European prize for literature. That's why I'm writing this book.
Yeah.
And now, Ioana, with your book, it's a very unusual Romanian book. How was it received in Romania?
Well, I hope it was good sell. That's I can tell it. It was for me. Well, I had to have much courage to publish at 49 years this
Why not?
this novel, and I had my students, so
they were dissecting it and analysing
yes, exactly.
it. She's professor of literature, so can you imagine your students?
Yes, it's not easy, and my students made a surprise for me. And they made a piece of theater from a chapter from my book, and they invited me a kind of surprise party.
Did you recognize your?
Yes.
Thank goodness.
It was the first time I was so amazed when I saw my characters in front of me in a theater play.
Marissa, did your students do they write theses about your books and so on too?
No, but they want me to read my poems from time to time. So yeah. No, but success, that's a good question. What is success? I think for me, success is that I am able to live my life this way. So from book to book, I think I'm approaching something that is bigger than me, and I'm trying to find through language this an invisible dimensions of life. And this is already a success, a very wonderful one, because I can feel and touch life in a very, very personal way. So, and then there is the success in the outer world, and that's okay and fine too, and I'm very happy about it. But I must say, as Katri said, when you write, you are alone, you are totally alone. And you need a room of your own, to quote Virginia Woolf, who is very important for me. And this room, it's not only a room in a house, it is a room in your soul. And you have to have power to do that and to establish a world sentence by sentence. And this is the main success you can ever have.
Now, I mean, this is the fact that there are prizes out there to be won, and that that you've won many of them, particularly for your use of German language too. Because I think the interesting thing is when German's not your first language, because you started speaking German when you were 10. That you can actually become more creative with languages. When you speak several languages, you can always throw things in. And we all speak several languages, which I think makes our own language, or whichever language we're writing in. And you write in German, which is amazing too.
It feels quite natural for me because I live now 30 years in Germany. I don't have really a choice. It's a language that chooses me. But it is, as you say it, and as we have talked already together, it makes your world bigger. You have different rhythms to live with, and that's nice. You have this kind of melodies. You put them also in the language you write in. It is not that you put the words, that would be very primitive to do. But you don't put the words from the other languages, but you put the life that you have, this certain mentality you can feel in another language. And this means if you can think a world in different languages, you have all these lives to deal with. And what could be better for a writer?
It's very exciting. Now, it's just before we've got about 5 minutes for questions, but the two, you've already had a contract with Amazon Crossing, which is fantastic. So this is being translated and published as well in other languages, which is really great. That's the Ice Cream Man. You've also got a contract with Istros Books.
With Istros Books,
which
Susan
is also very exciting.
Kojakovic is here. And I'm so glad that this book will be translated into English. It's really... I'm grateful for that.
And I'm absolutely certain that this beautiful German book will be translated in the most, and hopefully, because it's a very lyrical book, so we need to find a very lyrical, beautiful translator for you too. Now we can, so that is actually the beauty, if you like, in the achievement of this prize is to, and that's benefited you all already. So that's only a few months after winning it. So let's hope the next few months of the prize will lead to more translations and more sales as well. That's what we're all here for. Now, if we've got a few minutes, would you like to hear a tiny bit of a reading? Because let's do that, okay? No questions. Let's just have a little bit of have you got your reading with you?
I have it there.
Right. Let's do this because it's so beautiful to hear this. So, Maritza, if you read first, if we can quickly get
it's
Emma, could you bring over the?
It's a paper.
Fantastic. And Iona, have you got yours? Great.
So we didn't expect to do that.
No, it's nice.
Can you hold it for a moment?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you read in German, okay? Because it's so nice.
Yeah.
So we'll read. I think we'll hear in the original language, okay? We'll just hear the beginning.
Yeah.
Katri, would you like to start?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So Katri Lipson is going to read from the Ice Cream Man, and she's going to read in Finnish. So it's a lovely paragraph.
Poika istuu muiden sotilaiden joukossa armeijan kuorma-auton lavalla. Hetki on lyhyt ja häiriötekijöitä paljon. Gunillan ei olisi ikinä pitänyt huomata häntä. Raskas moottori rymisee. Auto ajaa tiemutkasta esiin liian kovaa vauhtia. Likaiseksi poljetun sammaleen lailla vihertävä sakki näkee kyllä heti Gunillan. Ponkaisee jaloilleen huojuvalla lavalla ja puhkeaa huutoihin. Alkaa tehdä kaikenlaisia temppuja kiinnittääkseen tytön huomion, mutta se yksi poika, juuri se jonka pitäisi huutaa kovimmin, on niin hiljaa ja liikkumaton, ettei Gunillalla ole mitään mahdollisuutta nähdä häntä. Ohitseajon aikana tytölle esitetään monenlaisia pyyntöjä ja ehdotuksia, mutta kuskia käsketään yhdestä suusta, hitaammin, hitaammin, ja niin ohjaamossa hellitetään kaasupoljinta ja painetaan vielä jarruakin, ja kuin ihmeen kaupalla syntyy hitaus, jossa kovaääniset huitojat alkavat näyttää epätodellisilta kuin hidastetussa filmissä, mutta se, joka on hiljaa ja liikkumatta, erottuu muiden joukosta juuri liikkumattomuutensa vuoksi kuin olemassaolonsa vahvistaneena.
Thank you. Iona Parvulescu is going to read from Life Begins on Friday in Romanian.
Poate că tot ce a fost și o să fie este acum în prezent. Poate că ce a fost este ce va mai fi. Înainte de a-mi pune orice întrebare, încercați să vă obișnuiți cu vocea mea, o voce de om despărțit de o lume pe care ajunsese să o cunoască destul de bine și a căzut într-una necunoscută și de neînțeles. Poate că trăim, fără să o știm, chiar în clipa asta nesfârșită, în mai multe lumi deodată. Poate că vocea care vă vorbește acum și care se zbate printre vocile de aici ca un pește în plasa pescarului, vocea asta care se află în orașul nașterii ei și în țara ei mai singură decât orice voce de om prizonier în țara străină, vorbește chiar acum cu ființe pe care n-aveți cum să le vedeți. Sau poate că eu, izvorul vocii, m-am stins deja ca soarele care tocmai a apus, dar voi încă mă auziți acolo, în lumea voastră, cu soare la zenit, acolo, în camera voastră caldă.
Now, there was nobody laughing, but I know there are some Romanians here, so it is quite funny too, that passage. And finally, we have the wonderful Marcia Bodrozic, who's going to read from Kirschholz und the Cherrywood Table. Yeah.
Heute habe ich fast alle Kisten ausgeräumt. In der Leere meiner neuen Wohnung ist noch nicht viel gesprochen worden. Die von Erinnerung freie Luft aus dem Vögelchenzimmer macht sich auch in den anderen Räumen breit. Manchmal scheinen sich meine Zimmer zu weiten. Seitdem ich hier wohne, denke ich immer wieder an das Meer. Je länger ich in der Lage bin zu schweigen, desto entschiedener reisen meine Ohren zum Meer, zurück zu den Orten am Meer, zu den Häusern am Meer, zu den Menschen am Meer. In der Erinnerung an das Meer strenge ich mich nie an. Es ist eine Reise ins Blaue, ins Innere des Wassers. Ohren rauschen, kein Knirschen in den Knochen. Ich sehe Segelboote vor mir und kleine Fischerbarken, Netze angefüllt mit dem nächtlichen Fang. Mein Kopf ist darüber so überrascht, dass der Druck vorne in meiner Stirn fast vollständig aufgehört hat. Das alte Pochen und Picken und Drängen, es ist Erinnerung. Bald wird es nur noch Ahnung sein und ich werde mich im Zurückdenken anstrengen müssen, wenn ich wissen will, wie es damals war, mein Leben.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, all these readings are in the book, the EUPL book, which is free for you to take away with you. And if you heard that in the original language, you'll be able to read the samples in English as well. It's a wonderful prize. It's a wonderful book, an anthology of all the 12 winners. So thank you to everyone who contributed to this event. And thank you most of all, and I really mean this, to these wonderful writers, to Marcia, Tuana, and to Katri. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie. Great.